So these parameters in a meshing, it's using to manual subdivision. So the axial subdivision is defined number of subdivisions along the segments. So we can manually decreasing. The density, a distribution of those. We can put distribution of along the segments. We also have it angular subdivisions, a defined number subdivisions around our segment. And also adaptive, it is how it will distribute it. This is option will be enabled if you're using manual subdivision for a specific segment. Currently, we don't going in yet in the meshing, so we'll just leave it as unchecked. Next, you'll notice we have the cup. And cup will already kind of look on top. It's this element, the covering. Overall, you can say cut and top. We only cut. And only cut, you can see it goes straight. Only top. Won't provide, but it will more smoother going around. Also, how the angle of the smoothness. Okay, let's go back to cut and top. It is defined by the cup profile. So currently, if we open, you can see it's going smooth. We can always create additional kind of effect, and the cup, okay, will modify based on this. Again, this is a little bit smaller, so we don't see it in the profile, but okay, if we increase in profile, let me see if we can do this on the radius. So let's go increase our radius right here, and you can see the profile how it's changed. So I can go inside, okay, put this a little bit back, and right here we can change profile on this. We always can go and create a little bit more flutter or whatever you want. In some cases, you can use this profile to create actually mushroom cup. So just don't think just end of the tree. Think about this is top cup and what shape you can apply to this. Okay, you always can reset it. I also have options to offset, and we can offset in or out, depend. So be careful when we're going too much in. We can create it some artifacts, but with this proper, what we look right now, you can create almost as a when you have it cut off tree trunk, and you can create edges based on this. Okay, so let's go back and reset to 0. Same on a cup, we have it randomized properties, so we can create a different ones. And we also have it options to create as well profile. Okay, let's go just as example. Create profile here. Let's bring it down. And you can see in some cases right here, we have a little bit different this profile as we created with our filter. Okay. Let's go reset back what was before. Also, you notice as we select, for example, cut and top, we don't have secondary cup is enabled. Even it's right here, just not available for us. They will be unavailable if you create cut only. So we have a secondary cup to do this, or only on the top as well will be available. This has allowed us to create a little bit more of the properties if we want to move it even further there. Okay, so example right here, we can go and set, for example, 10, even bigger. Actually, let's go to negative. You can see it's modifies movements a little bit on this. Okay, same when you have it cut. You can see right here, we're modifying secondary. And for example, if I want to go inside the trunk, we can create right kind of like secondary cup to this. Okay. It's quite a bit flexible by working with these properties, so you can create a quite a bit interesting effects on your tree or properties. Okay, next we have the root flares, and those ones is what we have on the bottom. We can always disable. This is will be just a cylinder, what we did before, but you notice also we have it number of the roots. So right here 1 2 3 4 5, it's what going with the randomest one, so we can add, for example, 10. This way we have it more of those roots going. Sometimes we have maybe problem with these roots that they become too meshed together, so be careful. We could reduce, and we'll look on some of those properties also to make them more distinguished. Personally, if I need to create a very kind of big roots, I'll just create another child. We'll look on this later, and attach them to the bottom of our tree and let it go around this way. So that way we can create a very complex root system, look very natural and kind of twisted all over places. But as a base, this is work for most of the plants. So let's go back to default 5. And again, notice right here we have 5 and we have plus minus 1. We also can see how they're going increase, decrease based on altitude with a filter. We can randomize, and the randoms add with a bigger, smaller, just position on them. Okay, in some cases, personally, I like to add more random to this. And of course, we have it property to just include additional randomization to what we have. Okay, 0.5. So let's go this way. That way, with new creation, we can go create more different ones. Okay, for now, I'm going to reset. So it will be symmetrical distributed. So this will help us to going to other properties. Okay, the relative parameter, if you enable, it will be going relatively to the size and position, and you can see right here, because our size segment is bigger, is going relatively to our segment. If we're going to decrease our segment to 2, for example, you can see how they change relatively to segment. And when I start creating more realistic, I will probably create another segment. And for example, we can go right here, create a new segment. Okay. For example, branch segment. Okay, the couple things is happening with branch segment. We have it now multiple of the amount of them. Okay, and before jumping in more details, I'm just going to the branch. Put it 0, just 1 on top. So we'll go right there. We don't need it okay, for this segment. We'll leave it cup. We want to adjust a little. Okay, let me go switch. We go to the branch on trunk. We'll just says placement. Oops, okay, start from the top of the segment. So it's kind of continue. Okay. Okay, overall what I was saying, so right here, for example, we have a trunk, and I want to do this relative relation to roots. So in this case, I can modify just the root segment, and I still have my trunk segment going right there. Again, don't worry if it's branch or whatever at this point. I just want to use it as an example. Okay, and next we have it height. So it is apply height to the our roots. You can see as we modify height of those roots. If we disable relative, you probably can see more applying of the height, specifically those areas of the roots, how high they will go. Next we have the base swell, and right here you can see how the increasing overall this base. We do have it little bit kind of from steep down, and it's based on our, again, let's reset this one. It's based on our graph. So we can go just straight forward, for example. Okay, we can modify to add. Again, remember, we have the top and we have at the bottom, so we can modify. Okay, we can go a little bit more this way. Kind of adjustment, and you can play around a little bit more with the different effect. We'll go back to normal, so graph. Depth is allowed how depth going between. So for example, this will be more smooth, and you can see between roots we kind of fill up those area. This is a depth between. We can go very crazy. And you can see right here how the depth is different between roots now. So if you want spread in this case, maybe we'll do this way. As well, we have it matching symmetry for our graphs, for the itself orange graph. So we're matching. Width, and it's randomizing. You can see right here we have it 0.5 randomizing. It's overall width of the roots. And in some cases, playing with this, we can create a very strange and weird type of the plants. Okay, right here, let's reduce base swell. And as well, we can go inside and modify a little bit of the shape. Right here, example, you can see how we put it this one way up some other areas and decreasing. For example, expanded this, so we can play with all these different properties and create a very interesting base. Again, this is okay, let me go reset this one. This is a root flare, so it's meaning it does not create any additional segments. All what it does, it is manipulate with these segments. You can do same things. It doesn't matter if you have it another branch going. For example, right here we have it our branch. You can still even put it root flares on this branch as well, which with the blending may create quite a bit interesting effect as well. So you can see we can create right there, it's apply blending, and you can still do the root flares on different segments. So you don't just need create on one, but that is create some additional interesting effect. And probably the best way to learn this by open application and start manipulating and playing with the preset or playing with the settings and see how they will work for you, so you can relate it to specific project. I do recommend, if you want to make realistic plant, just open a photo of the plant you want copy and just be sure, just look on all the settings and try create. For example, I know some plants have this root flares going up to the trunk, so in this case you want to increase and kind of creating high. For example, like on this branch right here. Okay, if we go size, so let's go length maybe 15. Okay, and we can have for example, enable auto relative, or just take a width and height and just increase amount. So we can go all the way high up. Let's go to 5 in this case. So you can see how they're going, and it's on a tree as well. You can create this way. So for example, height, we can create number 10. Let's go more around of them. Creating crazy depth. And maybe too wide, just leave it less on the wide. So we have more defined lines, but you can see right there we already start applying this effect to the segment, not necessarily to the base or trunk itself.